singer-songwriter, and this is podcast number 18, and it's about garbage. We put our garbage can, recycle bins, and sometimes bulk waste out to the curb. The garbage men come and pick it up and take it away, and then it's gone forever. But where does the garbage actually go? Well, that is what this podcast is about today. But before we get into that, I want to play a song for you that I wrote, and I think there's something special about this song, but let me know what you think. Here we go. Are You the One by Me? Here we go. Hope you enjoyed it. Now, on to the garbage podcast. Here is the recycle truck coming up the street to pick up my recycle bins. The recycle truck is different from a garbage truck. In the back, you can see the blue side and the yellow side are separated. I found out they stay separated the entire time. The garbage people are always very friendly and courteous. Here is the garbage truck picking up my trash. Have you ever wondered, where does this garbage go? This past week, I did a 2-hour tour of the Solid Waste Authority's renewable energy facilities and the recycling facilities in unincorporated West Palm Beach on North Jog Road and 45th Street. Here is what I found out. This is the entrance to the Renewable Energy Park. The tour started in here. This is the weigh station for all the trucks that come in. They weigh all the garbage that comes in to keep track of what goes into the 2 renewable energy facilities. Here is the entrance to the newer renewable energy facility, And this is the education center on the other side of that high sky bridge. Now, let's hear what our tour guide has to say.
Hi, I'm Jenna Biggs with the Solid Waste Authority. I'm an education specialist.
Nice to meet you, Jenna.
You too. All right, so we're going to start talking a little bit about, like I mentioned, we are specifically the Solid Waste Authority for Palm Beach County. So we only deal with the solid waste here within our county. It is different from county to county, so it's very much a specifically locally dealt with situation. So what we have done here, we are trying to be as efficient as possible to take care of everyone's needs. Here at the Solid Waste Authority, we have to deal with about 14 pounds of solid waste per person per day. With 1.5 million people here in this county, that adds up to about 21 million pounds of solid waste every single day.
Wow.
So that's why this efficient system had to be put in place. So we had some great thinkers with the forethought to figure out a way that we can make this work for everyone. And what we have, you're seeing on this map here, we of course go all the way up to the lighthouse there in Jupiter, all the way down to Boca, and all the way out to Lake Okeechobee. We're a very large county, not just in population, but in land area as well. So we had to do a lot to make sure that we got all that waste back up here where our little star is. These orange boxes throughout, and you may be familiar with them, they're called transfer stations. Recycle or trash trucks.
This photo shows you where the transfer stations are. There are now 2 transfer stations in Delray Beach, so there are actually now 7 transfer stations. 39 municipalities directly collect their garbage or contract it out to private haulers. In unincorporated Palm Beach County, all the garbage pickups are contracted to private haulers. Once the garbage is picked up, it is taken to a transfer station where 5 to 7 truckloads of garbage or recycle are transferred into a Solid Waste Authority tractor trailer truck and then transferred to the Solid Waste Authority main campus in West Palm Beach, Florida, for processing at the recycling facility or the renewable energy facility. Those are what we will see today. Each transfer station also takes household hazardous materials and chemicals.
All right, so these are our 5 main facilities. We're going to get a chance to actually go by and see up close inside our recovered materials processing facility and our newest renewable energy facilities. I won't talk super thoroughly about those here, but we'll talk about them later. We'll even get to see our home chemical and recycling center on site up close. I will not make you go to our Biosolids pelletizer. That's where we get all the sludge from our wastewater treatment plants. And we'll get to see a little touch of the landfill as we're driving by and from the top floor. But I'm going to start talking about the recovered materials processing facility. We don't actually do the recycling here in county. What we do is further sort. So that's what is happening when things are brought from the transfer stations. They're going to go to either the blue side or the yellow side of that processing facility. We'll get to see it as we go. Even from the outside, you get to understand a little bit more. But we do separate. This dual stream system is very important. It means that we have cleaner materials. That means they're going to be purchased by the recyclers. When they're purchasing them, they're not going to be wasting their money from buying them and just throwing them away. So they are being recycled. And then they're also going to keep returning to us, which means here in Palm Beach County for the last 2 years that have been recorded so far, we have been #1 in the entire state for recycling, thanks to you all. Thanks to the dedication you have put into sorting those materials, kept them cleaner, because when we put all the materials that are in the blue bin, those are the food and drink containers mostly, they could get onto our yellow bin container materials very easily. So the paper and cardboard need to stay clean and dry, and that's the reason for the dual stream system. It's a little different. Other counties, like I mentioned, is very different. So they may have single stream recycling, but it's going to up their contamination rate, and we'll talk more about that when we get to our covered materials processing facility. With the home chemical and recycling center, like I said, we'll get a chance to kind of take a little stop there too. We won't get out, but you get to see all the different sorted areas. We do take everything from paint. We actually have what's called a Paint Your Heart Out program. For those in need, they take some of that old paint, mix it together, and create new colors that they're able to paint exteriors for free for those in need. So we have painting parties where they get to go out and help people. So it's getting reused. Certain things are dangerous, like our lovely propane tanks that could cause explosions. There are certain things in like our CFL and other fluorescent light bulbs that is like mercury that can be bad for our systems. We don't want these in our waterways, in our airways, or our soil. That's why these hazardous materials need to be disposed of responsibly at the Home Chemical Recycling Center. That includes things like your pesticides, your pool chemicals, any strong drain chemicals or cleaners in your household, anything like that. It's safest to bring it to the Home Chemical Recycling. Lithium batteries, like we were just talking about, super important. We don't want to have fires happen within those big tractor trailers or the big trash that you're about to see.
Okay.
All of those things, we want to keep those in the proper space so they can be disposed of responsibly. A lot of pieces can be reused and recycled, like metals we were mentioning a little earlier. They can be reused, recycled, they can do something with them so they're not just thrown in the trash as well. So they know how to do that. We're going to see our renewable energy facility 2. It is currently the cleanest and greenest renewable energy facility in the world. And that was built just 10 years ago. Our renewable energy facility 1 is almost 40 years old, built in 1989.
Wow.
And so this is where your trash goes. It gets burned down to ash. That reduces the volume by about 90%. So 10 trucks of those tractor trailers coming in, 1 truck of ash is going to our landfill. This has reduced the landfill and actually extended its life by over 30 years. So what was initially going to happen with our landfill, just filling it up with trash, it would have closed 5 years ago in 2020. Now that they are reducing the volume by turning into ash, it's extended the landfill to about 2057. So over 30 years at this point.
Cool.
This is why we do it. Now we also are renewable energy facilities, meaning that we create energy instead of just letting it release. The energy created, we actually are going to collect and utilize. All the buildings down Jog Road here are run on the energy from this facility, plus about 90,000 homes extra.
Wow.
So where you go to work, where you live, where you shop, all those things could be some place that is partially run on your electricity because it gets sold back to FPL. So that's what we're going to get to see up close in just a minute. Biosolids pelletizer, again, you don't want to go there. It is our smelliest building, I promise. But it also does a very important function. So with the biosolids pelletizer, first everything that goes down your drains goes to the wastewater treatment facility. We have 6 of them throughout the county. And then that sludge, all the solids, as we are solid waste authority, comes to us. They actually will use reclaimed methane gas from the landfill. Instead of having it released and causing problems in the atmosphere, it's going to be collected and utilized in our biosolids pelletizer. That's going to heat and kill any bacteria or pathogens that should happen. It heats it to a high enough temperature. Then it becomes those little tiny pellets, and we actually do have those right over here at that top level. So they're just little tiny pellets. They're added to fertilizer as an amendment so they can help grow plants. So it kind of completes the nice cycle. Down the road, that big mountain that we don't have here in South Florida. So that is class 1. That's going to be where our ash is going at this time. And then class 3, which is the stuff that cannot fit in the hoppers and cannot go into the fires. So the big boats, the big RVs, things that are going to be too large are going to go to our class 3 landfill. Or if it can't be burned at all, concrete, cement, those kind of things. They're going to have to go to that specific landfill section. They do everything they can to make sure if there's recyclable pieces, like metals, those are all removed because we do scrap as much as possible. As you'll hear about when we are talking about our renewable energy facilities, the metal is not going to burn and turn to ash, so they actually collect it at the end and do recycle it. So all of those pieces together, though, adds up to an extension of the life of the landfill, and that's what we want. The more we reduce our waste, the longer that's going to last. No one wants a new landfill in their backyard.
That's true.
So this has allowed it to extend that life.
The Solid Waste Authority wants to reduce the amount of trash. They also would like for us to reuse again if possible. Did you know that for every 1 million cell phones recycled, we can get around 35,000 pounds of copper, 772 pounds of silver, and 75 pounds of gold? Did you know that they get about 100,000 tons a year from the blue and yellow bins annually?
All right, so this is kind of the basics of our landfill. So again, it's primarily ash that's going to our landfill, but they do want to make sure things are not seeping out into the environment. One of the big important things is that we have our lovely aquifer right under the ground here, and that is our drinking water source. In fact, right around the corner is Grassy Waters, beautiful preserve, part of the Everglades, also the drinking water source for all of West Palm Beach. So I, living in West Palm Beach myself, really want to make sure that's clean. So they put liners in the first place, just like we have here, those examples that you were feeling. Those thick plastic liners help keep everything inside. There's going to be soil, clay, things that help make sure that nothing is getting out of the cell. That's what that's called. One section of landfill that they're adding to. They're also going to put some piping for leachate. Now, most of our stuff going in there is ash. There's not a lot of leachate collected, but just in case, we again don't want that in the groundwater or on the environment. So they're going to collect that. Leachate is garbage juice. If you've ever taken your trash out and you put it in dry and then you go and put it somewhere else and it's no longer dry, yeah, that's leachate because it's actually the process of things breaking down, biodegrading. So they're going to collect that and put that down into a deep water injection well, about 3,500 feet, so it's not anywhere near our groundwater source. And they're going to start layering up the ash to fill the cell. Now, they do about 1 week of protective cover. They don't close it because they do add to it every single day, except for one. Then they're going to put some cover to make sure things are not blowing out of the cell, keep everything inside. So it's no longer a daily cover, it's more like a weekly cover. But it does layer up, and when they're finally filled, basically they're going to add another layer of that plastic. They're going to close it up like a Tupperware, make it nice and sealed. Then they'll add that soil and grass on top, so all the vegetation you see down our big landfills down the road, we're going to see some as we go, they are closed cells, closed sections, they're not adding to anymore. Burned in our facility that we're going to see in just a second. And so you can see it's still being added onto. It's still got open cells here. There are some sections that are covered by grass, so those are closed cell sections, but it still has open areas. And what they're starting to do right now is join the two sections together. So you're going to start seeing where it's kind of that black ashy color. Well, that is actually ash. It's being added so they can start bringing the two. It's 300 acres total. We're going to have that bring it together. So when it's completely full, that whole is going to be one full section of land.
Nice.
We have a customer drop-off center for those that are say doing house renovation and things like that. So when they're doing a large load of that, or if it's a company, they pay a tipping fee, and then those materials that cannot be burned would be then evaluated, what we can recycle out, those kind of things.
Here's a shot of the Renewable Energy Facility Sky Bridge between the Education Center and the newer Renewable Energy Facility. Here is the newer Renewable Energy Facility's tank of water in case there is a fire, which is part of their fire suppression system, and its stack, which is an oval, not a circle, 330 feet high. The pollution controls are well below EPA limits and below our Palm Beach permit limits, which are stricter than the EPA limits. No smoke ever comes out of the stack because the particulate matter is cleaned up before it ever reaches the stack. These are the huge air fans that chill the hot steam that comes out of the power plant. The older plant here has water that cools the hot steam, and we'll see that later.
I don't know exactly how good an estimate, because I've only been here just over a year, but some people for a long time can tell you, oh yeah, that's 30,000 trash. But this is somewhere in the 20,000-ish range.
So all of this is getting prepared to be burned. Okay.
So where's the fire? The fire's here somewhere?
Where we just were
Okay.
was the funnels, they're called hoppers,
Right.
that take the trash down to the fire. The fire is not out in the open, it's obviously contained and enclosed. So it's not something
Is it
you
only
can see.
one burn pit or is there?
Three.
Three.
Just like each go to their own boilers.
So if they get like reduced trash, they may burn only two at a time?
Well, they will try to burn as much as possible, but if we need to go on maintenance mode, which everything needs maintaining, every single thing in the world does, so this will maybe do two at a time and then have one offline and vice versa. So with our claw, they're going to be making a space for the new trash to be added. So that's what's happening here. It's moving it over from the right-hand side, which is only about 35, 40 feet down, to the 100-foot side of by me. So they can make a little trench so everything can continue to be added. With our big claws, they can hold 8 tons. So that's the amount of trash for a family of 4 for 2 years in one claw. So they're going to move a lot of trash. Now they're not only going to be moving the trash, they're also going to be mixing the trash. As you'll notice, there's all kinds of things in here, and we are not sorting it. This is called a mass burning facility. So we're not pulling out anything that's recyclable, so we don't put it in recycle bins. It's not getting recycled. Everything that's in here, unless we notice that it's something potentially dangerous, like the claw operators had a chance to catch like a something that would be visibly dangerous, they will obviously try to move it to the side. But anything else is just going to be mixed in. So that's why we've got a mixture of plastic bags, tires, vegetation, everything. Is kind of what it looks like in our fire, in our boiler. So we have the hoppers where the claws drop the materials. It goes on that wave grate to move the materials down. And then it's going to burn and turn into ash. There's going to be that set of water pipes to keep things cool so that it doesn't melt. And then they're going to take that steam and cycle it through again and superheat it. The superheating actually creates enough energy for us to then move the turbines that they could fan essentially, and the rotor and the generators, that's what makes the electricity. Again, enough for all the buildings here, plus 90,000 homes extra. With all of these systems, they have their own actual pollution control system too. So just like there's 3 different boilers that go to the 3 different hoppers, there's going to be 3 different sets of pollution control systems. So first thing they're going to try to remove is mercury. Again, not good for our systems. We don't want in the soil and the airways. So they're going to use carbon to neutralize that. They're also going to be using a lime slurry to get our acid gases. Is it finally going? Yeah. Looks like it's finally, there you go, moving our trash in the walking floor there into the pit. And see what happens. They use all electronics. The mobile one is that trash. And just move back and forth to get that trash into our vehicle here.
So these big trucks,
So not 24 hours, the facility is open 24/7 to be able to burn the garbage, but we don't take collections every day. 6 days a week, and then it obviously ends at a certain time. I think it's usually like 5, 6, something like that. So it's not going to be constant garbage drop off, but it will be constant burning of materials.
but these big trucks are coming from the transfer stations,
Those
right?
are the solid waste authority tractor trailers, exactly.
Okay.
So they're coming from the transfer stations, they can hold 80,000 pounds. And they're what we typically get here, again, except for the local trucks, that is closer to come to us than to a transfer station. So West Palm City is basically what comes here locally.
Wow, here comes a 4th one.
Yeah. So we started at 0, and now they all come to the city. If it gets too large for that, then our last resort is using that 250,000 gallon water tank and the water cannons. But if we do use that, then we have a whole wet load of garbage. Because then it takes days for it to dry out before it would be really burnable again. Because water severely impacts, of course, fire burning. So we want to make sure that's the last thing we do. So we can walk. This is where our crane operators sit. And you can see we have 3 different crane operator chairs that go up here if you want. So we just don't want to be in front of the door so they can get in and out.
I saw this in a window. It says the Solid Waste Authority facilities have operated in harmony with our natural surroundings for over 20 years. This renewable energy facility is designed to conserve water and has incorporated state-of-the-art air pollution control technology to reduce emissions to the lowest level of any plant of its kind in the United States. Here is a claw operator's chair that was there for us to examine, and a reminder that lithium batteries start fires always turn them into the home chemical and recycling section of your transfer station. Here we are looking down the sky bridge towards the renewable energy facility. On the sky bridge back to the education center, you can see the Solid Waste Authority has a 5-mile trail system on the north side of their property due to the endangered snail kite living there. Now that bird and others have a protected place to nest. These 300 acres of conservation land contains the most productive bird rookery in Palm Beach County. Now that is quite a title because there are other protected rookeries in Palm Beach County. Also, on the way back, you can see a carport with solar panels on it. And note the power plant's renewable energy facilities collect rainwater on the roofs for most of the water the facilities need. They definitely conserve resources. Now we are in the car to drive by the older facility and go see some things. This is a photo of the older renewable energy facility's water coolers doing their job. Remember, the newer renewable energy facility has an air cooling system. Then here is the older facility where you can see it stack. It has the same pollution controls as the newer facility. It doesn't have as many things under roof as the newer facility does though, because it's older. Next is the Home Chemicals and Recycling Center collection area and its different bins. Then here's the other side of that. Next, we have Palmetto Trailhead Park on the south border of the property, great for hiking and biking. And now we are at the Recycle Center. This is the blue side. The blue and yellow bins are kept separate throughout the process. Here is blue material ready to be baled and a photo of blue material baled. The blue material is baled into different types of bales. Here we are on the yellow side of the building. Now we are at the front of the building getting ready to go inside. Right now the yellow side is on break, so let's see what it looks like on the blue side. Here is a video of what it looks like from a window above looking over everything.
What was mentioned earlier was the fact that a lot of people say it's just not happening. Well,
Right.
They see bins going into the back and they don't realize that there is a
It's
separation.
divided, yeah.
That's important because we do still keep the dual stream, keep it sorted. All that work you've done does not get done. But this is a good example of seeing the walking floor up close, because same tractor trailers as we saw at the big trash pit here, they're gonna use the walking floor and bring it onto their tipping floor. This is blue sides of the food and drink containers. And so then we use the front loaders to move these onto the conveyor belt system. And this is where we start the sorting process. Again, we're not recycling it here, we are just sorting further for the recyclers to pick up those individual items. So this is where it moves on to its conveyor. Now with this, it's going to pick up the steel cans first. So
Okay,
those
so
are
that's the
magnets,
magnet,
yeah.
okay.
So that's the first thing to be sorted before we do anything else on the blue side that pulls the steel into that big bay that we saw. And so that's the first thing gone. And then we have to do different things for the other parts of the process. You can see it moving up to those magnets. And then that's its bay outside. We're going to have a sort then. So we do have humans sorting. You can see in building G, they're actually working right now and down and there. So they are pulling out the contaminants, the things that shouldn't be there, things that we cannot process on our machines. That's why we have very specific things that go into the bins, because our machines can process certain things. We don't want to have things like plastic bags go into these machines because they will cause problems, and I'll show that a little later. So they get all the contaminants, those pieces that aren't supposed to be there do go to Ref 2, where we just were, or Ref 1. This is where we have all the materials bounce on top that are left. It's our plastic, it's our glass, it's our aluminum. The glass is going to crush, that's why it's a glass crusher, so it becomes that glass color, falls down through and ends up in that big bay at the end that we saw. Everything else passes along through the process. And then we're going to sort out the aluminum so that the last thing left is our plastics. So this bar here has an eddy current, it's called. It's like static electricity. So if you've ever rubbed two balloons together and then pushed them and they push apart, repel, then it's essentially like that, because aluminum is not magnetic, so it's not getting pulled out with the steel. So it's using instead that eddy current to push it further than the rest of the materials. Then, just like all the materials, has their own little personal sort to make sure that it's going to be just those materials. Our plastic moves along on the conveyor system and ends up going to our optical sorters. So the optical sorters use sensors, they use lasers to be able to detect the different densities of plastic. So it was mentioned the number 2 plastics and stuff. You don't have to think on that level. Basically, we take every different kind of plastic container or bottle up to 2 gallons, except for styrofoam.
Even if it's black plastic?
If it is a plastic
Okay,
container, 2 gallons or less,
they take it.
and so they're going to be looking at the densities and using puffs of air at the different optical sorters as they go down the line to separate out those different densities.
So you said 2 gallons or less.
Mhm.
Those plastic buckets that are recyclable plastic, but you wouldn't want that because
If
that's
it's
more.
not a 2 gallon or less.
Okay.
5 gallon bucket, nope. Because the number
Yeah.
does not mean they're recyclable. That's the density. Specifically, what's recyclable until you find out what's in your local bins. So for our local bins, that's what we're doing. So these are those 3 lines that you see on the move behind. We have the colored big plastics, the HDPE it's called, so like the laundry detergent, like we saw the big bales of outside, then the ones that are colorless, so the milk and water jugs, same thick plastic. And then we have all the PET or single-use plastics, and it's so many more compared to the others. So that's again talking about the reduction. I want to use things that we can use again, because that will help reduce that number. It goes into the different separate areas as they get sorted. And then we have our newest addition. This is Roxy the robot. She is looking for number 5 plastics, that's like your yogurt tubs, and aseptic containers. So if you guys have seen the milk and juice cartons, those are actually something we put in the blue bin with our food and drink containers. They have plastic coating on them, because otherwise the liquid would fall through that cardboard.
Right.
That's why we don't put them in the yellow bin. They stay with the food and drink. And that's got plastic, and it has plastic lids that can stay with them. She's looking for those kind of containers, and she uses her suction cup to move that. Now, she is a very good reason why all those plastic bags that can sometimes get through could clog up her actual performance, and so that could cause a problem. We'd have to stop, get that out. So that's why we want to make sure we're recycling right, as we call it, putting just the right things into materials.
So she is a computer, she doesn't have a computer operating
she is
her?
AI.
AI, okay.
She's our AI robot. So she's
there's only
sensing
one?
those plastics. There's only one, because we have one specific purchaser that wanted the number 5 plastics and aseptic containers. Here's the Baling machine. You can see, yes, they compress everything down to the same size cubes, about the same weight, depending on the materials. It's going to be the same weight as that and the others. And then we have the steel twine to keep it all together. Indoors, we keep our aluminum, our paper, our cardboard, and the plastics can stay outside, as we saw. This is what happens from the inside, where we saw our recycler coming to purchase. They move the bales, whatever they purchased, onto that tractor trailer of theirs, and it goes and gets weighed on the scale house and exits to be turned into brand new things. So that's the blue side. The cushions are made from recycled plastic bottles, so they're turned into new things using machines, but that's not the process that's done here. Now, I'm gonna
Let's look at this blue side again. You can see the people in those little white boxes working very hard, pulling stuff out. You can also see the conveyor belts and get a good feel for the whole thing. It's pretty amazing. Did you know that the renewable energy and recycling facilities in Palm Beach County that we just saw is not run by Palm Beach County at all? It is run by the Solid Waste Authority. The Solid Waste Authority was established in 1975 through a special act of the Florida legislature, making the Solid Waste Authority a special district. Our 7 county commissioners take off their commissioner's hat to also sit on the Solid Waste Authority's board. They want you to know that when you throw something in the garbage, it does not automatically go into the landfill. It goes into the renewable energy facility where they seriously recycle everything they can. Why? To reduce the volume of garbage. In the United States, there are currently around 80 renewable energy facilities out there. And they've been proven to be the best way to manage garbage. Other countries have a ton of them. Our Solid Waste Authority's facility in Palm Beach County has been #1 in our state for 3 years in a row and is also the cleanest and greenest in North America and very likely the world. So way to go, Solid Waste Authority. When China quit taking our trash in 2017, a lot of recycling centers quit. The regular recyclers didn't have the dual collection system like we have, and that gave them a higher contamination rate. With the dual system, blue bins and yellow bins being kept separate, there is only a 10 to 12% contamination rate. Our Solid Waste Authority recycling facility is so clean, they have buyers coming from halfway around the world to get their materials. So that's pretty darn good. During this podcast, we found out that the Solid Waste Authority has a 300-acre landfill, and one of their preserves has 300 acres. Just so you know, they actually own a total of 1,300 acres in that North Jog Road and 45th Street area, which is good to keep them away from others. While there, I found out what pays for all of this. The garbage part of our tax bill only covers part of the cost. The Solid Waste Authority also has bonds, they sell power to FPL, and they sell recyclables to buyers. I encourage you to go to swa.org/education to learn more and sign up for a presentation or tour. From the people that I talk to there, they really care about what they do. Well, that's the end of today's podcast. The Solid Waste Authority is doing a super job of taking care of our trash, and I'm glad I did the tour. Now I know what happens to my trash after it leaves my house. What will my next podcast be about? How about something to do with the 4th of July? I'll make sure I take pictures. Check out my new website at www.starsmiley.com. This will make it easy to hear my music and see my podcast. So, Star signing off. Take care.